Tonight, Atlanta police are looking for this man. They say he is armed and dangerous and is a person of interest in the death of a 25-year-old valet. Harrison Olvey's family says he was just doing his job when he was gunned down overnight. Atlanta News First Bridget Spencer reports from Piedmont Road.
Atlanta police say a man was just on the job when he was gunned down just behind this Longhorn restaurant off Piedmont Road, and the investigation at this point only just beginning. Harrison Olvey loved his family, and he loved spending time with his sister.
Star athlete when he was growing up in high school, and always worked, never done anything wrong, never been in trouble.
But police say gun violence claimed the life of the 25-year-old. Police say Olvey was gunned down while working valet at a nightclub on Piedmont Road early Sunday morning.
We believe the motive is was a crime. He encountered some suspects, probably attempting to break into some vehicles. And during that encounter, he was shot by one of those suspects.
The owner of the Tongue and Groove, his truck was parked right there, and an individual was trying to get in the truck, and he said he knew, I guess obviously knew it was the owner's truck.
Now they identified a person of interest, and he's believed to be armed and dangerous, driving a newer model Kia K500. As detectives continue their search, Olvey's family is left with yet another huge void.
Just lost his dad, but a really good kid. If I had a son, I would want him, for sure.
Brad Olvey says his cousin was going to school, working several jobs, and had a bright future ahead. He's just hoping justice is served swiftly.
They got no regard for life. You're going to shoot somebody over a vehicle or shoot somebody over, just that's the first reaction.
In Atlanta, Bridget Spencer, Atlanta News First.